Hey there, bibliophiles and those raising bibliophiles. Thank you for joining me today for an honest book review from a fellow mom seeking great books for children to read. Today's book review is The Traitor's Son by Pedro Urvi. I'm pretty sure I have butchered his name and I am so sorry. The Traitor's Son by Pedro is the first book in the Path of the Ranger series. This is a fantasy series targeted for teens and young adults. Urvi is a Spanish author who has written 2 other series prior to The Path of the Ranger. I came across this book in a general search for teen fantasy books, looking for something that my son or my children would like to read. And I'm really glad that this popped up in my book series searches, at least so far. When I originally purchased, there were like 3 to 5 books in the series. And then nearing the end of book 1, I was looking into purchasing book 2, and I was shocked to find out that this was a 20-book series. I'm going to be honest, my reading list is pretty deep, but we'll see how far I get in the next few years with this series. My son absolutely loved book 1 and could not wait to get his book or his hands on book 2. And so we'll see where this goes or how long I can keep up. But I will say I really did enjoy book 1 as far as a fantasy series that is really dramatic and adventurous and mysterious. This book really has a lot of that. So this review is going to be a little bit long because I'm going to go into a lot of the different characters that continue throughout the story and sort of setting the premise of the book in general. So book 1, the main character is Lascaux, and the story is told in third person. His father was a ranger, but he fell in disgrace when he was betrayed, or when he betrayed the king that he was sworn to protect. And so he was like the highest ranking ranger. This leads ultimately to his father's death and a life of scorn and ridicule for Lascaux, as they, in the society, essentially they take the sins of the father and they pass them on to the son. And so the poor guy is left without any family. He's orphaned. And so he really struggles in his small village with being bullied and ostracized because of what his father had done in betraying the king. At the age of 15, the blood of former Rangers, those who are in the bloodline of former Rangers, are offered an invitation to join and train within an elite group. While initiates are not guaranteed acceptance at the end of their training, they are given the option to train. So Lascaux ultimately accepts the invitation in the hopes that he will be able to clear his father's name and find out what really happened. Lascaux doesn't believe that his father was actually a traitor, and he knows that with his training, things are not going to be easy because the Rangers are going to be even extra harder on him. Overall, as the story sets up the framework for the series itself, there are 4 years to Ranger training, and at the end of each year, the initiates can be expelled for failing to make the mark. Book 1 follows Lascaux's first year, his troubles, his triumphs, the mystery, like he's being attacked, so who's attacking him, what really happened to his father. The initiates initially, in their first year, they're separated into teams of 6 in which they will compete individually and with their team. Lascaux's team is definitely a team of underdogs and misfits. The captain of their team is Ingrid, and she is feisty and ready to fight anyone and everyone who is sort of picking on her, or she feels that look down upon her, that she's incapable of doing things, mainly because she's a girl. Next on their team is Nilsa, and she is a clumsy redhead who has a positive nature and attitude and demeanor about everything. The one exception is magic, and so this is a fantasy novel, so we do have that. Her goal is to kill all the mages, and these are people who have the gift or talent for what they deem as magic. Vigo is an unlikable character at the start. He's mean, he's nefarious, he is not a team player. However, as his past is slowly revealed to the team, they realize like he is an instigator, but he does become a little more endearing, and they can see what is sort of underpinning some of his behavior and attitude. Gerd is kind of referred to as the giant, but he is definitely like the friendly giant. He is large, but so extremely kind. His older brother is a ranger, and so that is what opened the opportunity for him to receive an invitation to be a ranger. And he comes from a farming family, and he joined the Rangers mainly because his family couldn't afford to feed all the children in their family, and so he didn't want to be a burden to his family anymore. Egale is next. He is scrawny, but extremely intelligent boy. He's able to read the strengths and weaknesses of his teammates and quickly calculate odds and strategy. So he's definitely an asset to their team, but he is very weak physically. And this is the team of 6 that Lascaux is on, and they are known as the Snow Panthers. So, without giving too much away, because it is a great story that I really think teens, particularly boys, would love. The story does focus on their 4 seasons of tests within their year. So, they have the spring, the summer, the fall, and the winter. There are mysterious attempts on Lascaux's life. You have themes about the team and their friendship dynamics that play a part in them learning to work together to become friends, which isn't always easy. Lascaux's hiding a secret, and that he has the gift, which is the magic, and that is eventually revealed, and his team ostracizes him for a time about that. So one thing to note is that this is a fantasy novel, so there is a mysterious world that Urvi creates, and there is a map at the beginning of the book that sort of, is part of this world that he's created. So I know some families are not fans of fantasy or anything with magic, so I'm going to try and give as brief an explanation of what I can. The magic, or what is known as the gift or talent, is not done with spells and such, at least in book 1. I will let you know as book 2 and stuff comes along if those things change and shift. The details of it are not exactly clear, other than the person feels the power in them when they call on it and they want to use it. And only those who also have the gift or the ability for magic can see other people use it. So if you don't have it, you can't see it. The gift can manifest itself in many ways. Here's one quote from the book about it. The gift is rather arcane. Not much is known about it. It doesn't show in the same way in everyone. The most common kind is the mastery of the 4 elements and the skill derived from them. They say there are sorcerers who specialize in the magic of blood and curses. They can make a person die just by looking at them and laying a curse on them. And so that's seen on page 84. It isn't until about halfway through the book that it's made clear that Lascaux has this ability, so you don't know that when you start reading. Furthermore, the abilities can be used to develop and promote good and evil. So the king himself has an ice mage, which is someone who can do magic with ice, and that's part of his protection. There is a rising force of evil trying to kill the king in book 1, and his name is Darther. And he is said to have the gift, and he uses it for evil and corruption. Aside from the trials making it through the first year of school, there's this threat that's building within the country, and it shows itself near the end. Lascaux uncovers a box that was left by his father, and inside is a mysterious egg that eventually cracks. And so now we have this reptilian creature that is clearly connected to Lascaux and the elements of the gift or the talent. There is some profanity in the book, so definitely check out my review and my written response, so that way you can see sort of those references. I have like what page you're going to find those on and what they are. Excuse me. There isn't really any romance in this book. We do see some fluttering stomachs. We do have a reference to Astrid, another character giving a seductive smile. So there are some things in there. And so I do, again, I recommend that you go and read my written review to kind of see some of those details. There is violence in the story. I mean, this is a war fantasy battle story, so those are some things to keep in mind. I also give additional details about the magic aspects in the story. I really liked the story, and I did let my son read it, and he really enjoyed it as well. And like I said, he just cannot wait to get his hands on book number 2. I'm going to keep reading. And if you want to follow along with this series and sort of get an idea a little bit longer about what's in it and whether or not you really want your child to read it, please continue to follow along. If you subscribe to the channel, you can get up-to-date information when new book reviews are given. And so I will try to keep up on these as much as I can. But like I said, there's 20 books in this series, so there's no way that that's going to dominate everything for a while. So I'll just kind of throw those in as I come across them and I'm able to keep up.